Now we would like to start the press conference by the Prime Minister. We are going to have the remark from the Prime Minister, please. Today, I would like to inform you about our basic approach to child and child-rearing policy. Since becoming Prime Minister, I have said Japan is at a historical turning point. And the best way to overcome this is to invest in people. In order to maintain the vitality of economy and society in the era of declining population, it is necessary to increase the structural wage and also improve reskilling and improve productivity with a focus on each individual and ensure that all people, regardless of gender, to show their possibility. Investing in people is the most important thing. So talking about the person, the number of birth rate in 2022 was the lowest ever at 799,700. Within 5 years, nearly 200,000 people had decreased. In the 2030s, Japan's young population will rapidly decline at twice the current rate. If things continue as they are, Japan's economy will shrink, and it will become difficult to maintain the social security system and communities. So until the 2030s, it's only around 6 or 7 years from now, and I believe this will be the last chance to reverse the trend of declining birth rate. Children are the national treasures. In the face of this national crisis, we will change not only the contents of policies, but also the awareness and structure of society as a whole need to be changed. In that sense, our administration should take measures to deal with the declining birth rate in an unprecedented way. So therefore, it is necessary to have effective countermeasures against the declining birth rate. And those who are directly involved, such as fathers and mothers, local communities, and workplaces, should be heard. I myself have been holding multiple child policy dialogues in various places and hearing various opinions from those concerned. At present, based on my instructions under Minister Ongura, discussions are underway with aim of compiling concrete draft for strengthening child policy by the end of this month. But today, before this, I would like to talk about the image of society that I am thinking of, the basic principles of countermeasures against the declining birth rate, and also show the basic direction for the major issues. A society that we are aiming are the society where young people can get married as they wish, and everyone who wants to have children can raise children without feeling any stress. And children, regardless of the environment or family situation, they will be cherished and nurtured and can live with a smile. My wish is to create a country full of smiles for children. In 20s and 30s, it is said to be the rush hour of life. Various life events, such as learning, employment, childbirth, and raising children at the same time happens. However, if there is no current income or future prospects, they are not going to get married and give birth. In order to overcome this situation and face life's rush hour, with confidence. It is first necessary to implement policies to improve the income of young people, especially wage increase. And also, when they are rearing children, it is necessary to have those barriers being taken down. And also, in the declining birth rate, we need to look at the awareness and also the situation that the paces have been set. It is necessary to enhance each policies. However, at that time, it is necessary to change the society. For example, there is a comment. For example, one Operation Child Rearing, well, because usually the mothers are taking care of their children. And it is necessary for both parents to child rearing, and the workplace need to support them. And also we need to create a community where the local communities are going to support that. And also this child rearing policy. So regardless of what kind of work, whether they're in-house, whether they are studying, and also regardless of the relationship of the parents, we need to provide a support in a seamless manner. In that, for example, a household with many children, for example, with a single parent family with children with disability, we're going to prepare more detailed support. For that, we are going to have first to increase the income of younger generation, and secondly, we are going to change the structure and awareness of the society as a whole. And thirdly, we are going to give a seamless support to all the children rearing families. So I'm going to talk about each of that. So it is necessary to increase the income for the younger generation, but because the declining birth rate is an increase in the unmarried rate. So the reason is the economic strength of the younger generation, even in married household. The reason given for not being able to have the ideal number of children is that it costs money to raise and educate children. Furthermore, in order to ensure the wage increase should be sustainable and structural, and we are going to cope it as a societal issue. So we are going to focus on the wage increase, and we are going to cope with that. And that should be sustainable and structured. And we will create an environment that is comfortable for both men and women to work, including eliminating the L-shaped curve to improve we are going to have the support for these kind of child rearing policy, Japanese style job wages, and promote the smooth labor movement of growth fields. And we are going to realize an increase in the income of the younger generation. At that time, if some people hesitate to extend their working hours due to the so-called 1.6 million yen or 1.3 million yen won, as a result, the household income will not increase. So therefore, to make it possible to work without being conscious of these barriers, we will work to expand the application of employee insurance to part-time workers and raise the minimum wage. In addition, regarding those 1.6 million and 1.3 million yen barrier, we are going to give a support that is not going to have the reversal of those wages. And also, We are going to work on reviewing the system in conjunction with these efforts. By the end of March, we will strengthen the financial support for the child-raising households as a first pillar to the draft. Until now, we have been promoting free early childhood education and childcare. Furthermore, with the burden of families with many siblings and the burden of education in higher education, we are going to expand child allowances, reducing the burden of higher education costs and housing support for young families raising children. And we are going to take comprehensive support measures. Secondly, it is necessary to change the structure and consciousness of the society as a whole. So in today's world, where the birth rate is declining and the maintenance of social function is at stake, the realization of children-first society is an issue for the society. Everyone, including companies and men who have been little involvement in the past, and also the elderly and single people, everyone should participate and change the social structure and awareness. So this is an unprecedented measures against the declining birth rate. So from the people who are raising children have said Japan is cold when it comes to raising children. For example, in Western countries, there are exclusive lanes for the households with children in public places. And if you find someone with a child, the people around you will take care of them. However, I hear that often in Japan, people say if you are with children, you feel uncomfortable in a crowded place. For example, it could be a nuisance if the children will play in the park. On the other hand, I made a visit to Nage Town in Okayama Prefecture. The birth rate has been reduced to 2.95 by developing community-based child rearing support with the participation of people who have finished raising children and local elderly people. So a miracle town has been realized. So therefore, using these best examples, we need to spread them to the nation. The government will also make the realization of children-first society as a common goal of all the policies. In addition, in order to develop various social movements, we have taken the lead in setting up children's first track at national facilities such as National Museum, so that people with children do not have to wait in line at the counter. So, in addition, efforts should be expanded nationwide in order to prioritize the children.
In companies also, companies need to look at childbirth and childcare support as investment and fundamentally change the culture and atmosphere at the workplace. Child care leave system is there, but it's very difficult to take such leave. Many employees are saying this. If you take a child care leave, inconveniences will be caused to the colleagues. Both or the HR do not have understanding for taking child care leave. Many people cite these reasons for not taking child care leaves. We need to quickly change this workplace environment. And both men and women should be able to take child care leave without hesitation. Fortunately, there are many good cases where new initiatives are taken. For example, in major company, large company, Company A, transferred its headquarter function to regional areas and introduced its own childcare and shorter working hour system, resulting in the number of children of female employees increased by more than threefold as compared to the time in Tokyo. Mid-sized company B, in this company, the major reason why male employees do not take childcare leave is because they don't want to cause inconveniences to colleagues. Therefore, they have introduced support allowance for the colleagues who take over the task and have greater workload, and promoting the taking childcare leave. So that such initiatives will be spreading widely. We will be increasing government's target of the ratio of men taking childcare leave, which is currently low, to a much higher level. And the target will be 50% in FY 2025 and 85% in FY 2030. In order to promote the companies to achieve the target, we'll be going ahead to ask the companies to disclose the status. The key point is SMEs. In SMEs, there are many people who have concern over the burden on other colleagues, and we will consider providing support to companies which introduce systems to promote child care leave, such as support allowance that I mentioned. With regards to government officials, we set the target for all the male employees to take child care leave, and we formulate the plan to make a plan so that more than 85% of the male employees will be taking more than 1 week of child care leave in FY 25 and implement this plan. We will take every possible opportunities to ask local governments and companies to take ambitious initiatives. So create an environment workplace where child care leave is easy to take, and also we'll have a better child care leave system itself. Listening to the voices of the users, we will make a system to enable compatibility between child care leave and career development with high degree of flexibility to respond to diverse way of working. For example, now if you take a complete leave, then you can receive child care leave benefit. But if you wish, then we'll review so that benefit will be paid when you are working shorter hours. And also the benefit payment ratio when both male and female take child care leave within certain period after childbirth will be increased to 100% on a net basis. In this way, the couple can share the child rearing and household chores together and minimize the impact on career development and income reduction. The support for lower income during child care leave has to be done irrespective of the size of the company and irrespective of whether one is regular worker or non-regular worker. So in addition to non-regular workers, for freelance workers and self-employed workers, we will create a new economic support system to respond to the risk of reduced income. In addition to child care rearing leave, the work style after returning back to work is important. The time, which can be called as rush hour of one's life, it is necessary to secure the time to spend time together with children. And we have to change the work style. For example, go back to home by 5 o'clock p.m. with flex work or use telework. We need to change the work style. So to create a workplace where it's easy to take child care leave, strengthening child care leave system and work style reform, so that in the rush hour of life, you can secure the time that you can spend with children. We are going to take this up in a full-fledged manner for the first time. Major social structure change requires certain time. However, a low birth rate is a urgent fight against time where no delay is allowed. And we have to change the awareness of the society as well as a whole, and work style reform and strengthening child rearing leave system. We'll be doing all this. The third of the basic policy is to create a comprehensive system to seamlessly support all child-raising households. In the past, LDP and Komeito administration has been strengthening child and child-rearing policies such as the enhancing nurseries and free of charge child education and child care. The budget has increased as a result. For example, the children on the waiting list for nurseries decreased from 29,000 at the peak to about 3,000 last year, so we have seen results. On the other hand, in the past 10 years, social and economic situation changed dramatically, and the policy that we have to implement are also changing. In addition to enhancing the economic support, change of the social structure and awareness that I mentioned, in addition, the service to support child rearing is also important. Necessary support to all the child rearing families, whether the parent is working or staying at home. Qualitative and quantitative support and strengthening of the children's education and child care service is needed. And also, we need to strengthen the support to the period from pregnancy, childbirth to 0 to 2 years of age, where the support was relatively weak. We should be strengthening accompanying type support to respond to various difficulties and troubles of all the child rearing families throughout the period from pregnancy, childbirth to child rearing. Poverty of children, the family with child with disability and child needing medical care, and a single parent family. We need to provide further supports for such families. Draft policy package to be compiled at the end of this month. From this perspective, we'll be reviewing the overall system of child rearing support, and for all the child rearing families, depending upon the lifestyle of the parent and the age of the children, we will be providing comprehensively necessary support. We should be establishing such a comprehensive system, and we will be showing the specific menu of services. The important point here is to shift to accompanying type support and push type support. Various support menus were provided based upon the application. However, as much as possible, we'll be changing this so that the government will be accompanying seamlessly, and the government will be approaching the people who really need support. Now, I have talked about the strengthening of the child policy, the ideal society, basic idea, and the basic direction to tackle major challenges. We will consider and examine this further, aiming at the end of this month. We will be asking Minister Ogura to compile a draft policy package. And on April 1st, Children and Family Agency will be launched. The first time in Japan where the name children is placed on the name of our organization. After that, we'll continue to listen to the voices of the people, and I will be taking the leadership and have further deepened discussion on the content, budget, and the financial sources of the necessary strengthening of policy. And by the time when economic and fiscal policy is compiled in June, we will show the overall framework for doubling budget for children. The other day, I heard from one young lady the following: I want to get married and have children, but I might be divorced in the future. If that happens, can I raise children by myself? Will I receive child support allowance? And then I cannot make up my mind to get married. I felt strongly there's a big change in time and also the mindset and awareness of the young people. As Prime Minister, I would like to appropriately grasp the change of time and awareness of the young people, and I will take the leadership to make full-fledged efforts to address the lower birth rate issue, which is a fight against time. Japan has been respecting mutual help and support among generations so far. Now is the time to open the future for the young generation and turn around the trend of low birth rate, which will contribute to the society as a whole, such as for economic activities and social security. I seek the kind understanding and cooperation of all the people transcending generations. Thank you.
So we would like to invite Q&A. So we would like to invite a person from mass media, and please give us your name and your affiliation. One question. So we would like to invite from the Mainichi newspaper. So this is Takahashi speaking from the Mainichi newspaper about the child policy. So by the end of this month, you're going to compile the draft of the child policy. But are you going to remove the income restriction or child allowances? And also correct the annual income barrier. And also you have mentioned different policies. However, talking about the budget and also talking about this, so what kind of budget are you going to show? What kind of detail are you going to show? And you mentioned that you're going to double the budget for the children. So what is the criteria for doubling this? So thank you very much. So talking about the draft, so I have instructed Minister Ogura, and therefore there are 3 basic policies, and based on that, they are going to enhance the package in order to give a support for the child-rearing families. So as I have mentioned today, in order to increase the income for the younger generation is important. For example, the structural wage increase, and that is going to be assigned as the social economic policy, and therefore we are going to enhance the economic support and talking about this annual income barrier, and also we are going to enhance the child allowance and also reduce the burden for the higher education, and also give support for the housing for the young family. And I'm going to show a comprehensive policy. And talking about this criteria for doubling this budget, and for this, I have already reiterated several times. So the content of the policy is important, and it is necessary to work in the detail of the policy. And without that, we are not able to show the criteria for doubling and also the time schedule. We are going to work in detail in order to enhance the contents. And according to the contents, we need to think how the society as a whole is going to give a stable support. And therefore, we need to think about the budget and also what kind of allocation we are going to have. And also, so around the end of March, we are going to show you a package for the child and child-rearing policy. And until we are going to compile the basic policies, we are going to work in the detail, and we are going to show the framework in order to double the budget.
Moving on, 中国新聞、樋口さん please. I'm Higuchi from 中国新聞. MIC's the administrative documents regarding broadcast law. There has been deliberation in the Diet every day. The key point is the political impartiality and the interpretation of the impartiality. There was a convenient interpretation by the Prime Minister's residence. As a current government, do you have any intention of verifying this issue? I would like to ask you, Prime Minister, at the same time, the then Minister of MIC, Ms. Takaichi, said that some of the documents are fabricated, and her thinking remains unchanged as of today. Regarding this, there are lots of criticisms. How do you look at this, Prime Minister? First of all, with regards to the interpretation of the broadcast law, MIC, from the position of ministry in charge of broadcast law, with responsibility, without changing the interpretation, made a supplementary explanation. This thinking has been maintained consistently. In addition, as for the accuracy of the administrative document, MIC is currently examining this. About the statement of Minister Takaichi, Ms. Takaichi, based upon her knowledge as minister then, she has been continuing explanation in the Diet, in the press conference. And I understand that at MIC, this matter and the development regarding broadcast law has been examined. That's all.
So we would like to invite other reporters to ask questions, please. And we are going to assign you. So if you have any question, please raise your hands from NHK. So this is Shimizu from NHK. So talking about the education cost and also the bond. So in order to cope with the lowering birth rate, it is necessary to reduce the burden for the families. And also there have been a discussion within the LDP in order to reduce the scholarship payment. And for the education, what kind of policy are you going to talk? And are you going to issue the bond in order to cover the education costs? So are you thinking about, do you have any option to issue the bond in order to cover those costs? So first of all, as I have mentioned, it is imperative in order to improve the income for the younger generation, therefore as an investment to people. So this is a policy that we are going to take as a social and economic policy. And this is the first pillar that we are going to give economic support for the child-rearing families. And talking about the education, so even for the education, we are going to give economic support to the child-rearing family. Starting from FY24, we are going to provide a grant-type scholarship and also to the middle class. So we are going to expand the scope. And also, we are going to introduce a scholarship that they are able to pay later. And also, for example, like marriage and birth, and we are going to have a flexible repayment in order to have a reduction and exemption in the future. So as regard with the financial resource, so first of all, we are going to work on the detail of child and child-rearing policy. And according to this content, we are going to review how the society as a whole can provide a sustainable support for the education bond, as I have mentioned, in order to secure the stable financial resource and also from the view of the trust. So we need to review thoroughly.
Next question, please. Chijiwa-san from TV Asahi, please. Chijiwa from TV Asahi. About Japan-South Korea relationship, President Yoon visited Japan yesterday, and summit meeting and dinner was held the movement for improving relationship. But on the other hand, domestically in South Korea, there are oppositions, especially with regards to the issue of former civilian workers from Korean Peninsula. President Yoon came up with a decision for resolution in spite of the opposition domestically. How do you evaluate this, Prime Minister? Also, when you're foreign minister, you have addressed agreement on comfort women with the opposition in South Korea. There was a change of attitude in Korea, but do you have any concern this time around? One more point. Yesterday, you went to 2 restaurants. What kind of drinks did you have, and what kind of conversation did you have? Did you had a drink with President Yoon, and what was your impression? Your frank view will be appreciated. First of all, yesterday, I was able to have a very positive discussion with President Yoon, which will be a major step forward for normalization of the bilateral relationship between Japan and South Korea. Between the 2 countries, because we are neighbors, there are various histories and developments, but overcoming that, President Yoon made a difficult decision and actions. I pay my heartfelt respect to him. I myself would like to carry on the efforts made by the people who went before me to overcome difficulties, and together with President Yoon, we would like to move for the future. Between the 2 countries, there are challenges, issues that need to be overcome. There are a number of them, one by one. Based upon the relationship of trust, we have to make efforts to overcome toward the future. Now, your question. Last night, the dinner, what kind of drinks we had? I had very enjoyable drink, and the conversation. It's including personal matter. We were able to deepen mutual relationship of trust, and it was very significant conversation. Relationship of trust between the tops. We would like to move the bilateral relationship forward. Thank you.
So we would like to invite Mr. Sugiyama from Reuters. Sugiyama from Reuters. So I would like to talk about international financial situation. They're having a bankrupt of Silicon Valley Bank, and also there is a concern for the management of the Credit Suisse. However, the financial authorities have taken quick measures. However, there is still a concern for the financial market. And what will be the impact of the foreign economies to Japanese financial institutions and real economy? So is there any concern that this kind of financial crisis will become a Lehman type of crisis? So due to the bankrupt of Silicon Valley Bank and other banks, and looking at the current financial market, they're having a movement in order to raise the risk. However, because the Western financial authorities have provided enough liquidity in order to avoid a concern for the financial market. And currently, talking about the Japanese financial institutions, they have enough liquidity as well as capital. And looking at the financial system as a whole, it's being stable. And we do have such kind of evaluation. On top of that, as a government, we do envision there are several risks, and with the BOJ and with foreign financial authorities, we are going to monitor the situation of financial and economic market, and we look whether that is going to give an impact to the financial system or the real economy, and therefore we are going to be cautious. So today, the Ministry of Finance, FSA, and within the BOJ, they have exchanged opinions about the recent market. Therefore, we do have confirmed there is a close relationship with the government and BOJ, and therefore we are going to monitor the situation.
それでは次に
Akiyama-san from Nikkei Shimbun, please. Akiyama from Nikkei Shimbun. Prime Minister, you talked about the housing support to the household who are raising children. At the ruling party, you are talking about the support, especially for the low income families, but condominium prices increasing in urban areas, and housing expense is a big burden for families with children, including the middle income people. With COVID, young generation went to local areas, but with the COVID-19 coming to subside, people are coming back to cities. About urban areas and the cities and housing issues, how do you think about that? First of all, for the families who raise children, necessary size and convenience is to be ensured for the houses. That is a big burden for them. Especially in recent years, especially in the urban areas, housing prices are on an increasing trend, which means that the issue is becoming even larger. Therefore, as a part of the support, economic support to support families with children, the utilization of the public houses and vacant private houses, and providing support for acquiring houses for these families, and also create living environment for household with children, raising children. Also, as to the relationship between cities and urban, the rural areas, based upon digital Garden City National Initiative, utilizing digital capabilities, optical fiber, 5G, digital infrastructure is to be enhanced, and promote installation of digital infrastructure in rural areas so that location of companies and telework and living in two areas, so that we can realize a society where anybody can live conveniently and comfortably anywhere in Japan, so that we can rectify excessive concentration of population to big cities. These measures will be implemented. Thank you.
フジテレ
So from Fuji TV, Sejima-san, please. So this is Sejima from Fuji TV. So you mentioned that it is important to have those SMEs working. However, during the labor negotiation, you have mentioned to strengthen that it is necessary to have a wage increase in the SMEs. So how are you going to expand this wage increase to SMEs? And also, are you going to have, what kind of coordination are you going to have with the economic associations as well as the labor union? And is it possible to have this wage increase as well as the child policy? Well, because you mentioned about the importance of SMEs, and so first of all, in Japan, so 70% are of jobs are from the SMEs, and therefore it is necessary to have the wage increase in those areas. So also yesterday, so it was the response day for the spring labor negotiation, and the major companies had responded the high level for the salaries. So I hope this kind of momentum should be expanded to SMEs and also the small-scale business entities. For that, it is necessary to have appropriate transaction. Therefore, until now, so due to the price pass-through countermeasures to be effective, we have been working with the SME agency and also the FTC, increasing team members, and also have the negotiation with the parent companies and provide the disclosure guidance and instructions. However, in some part, there hadn't been enough price pass-through for the labor costs on 15th. There have been exchangeable opinions by labor union and the employers, and therefore, in order to realize a wage increase in SMEs, it is necessary to have an appropriate transfer of the labor costs, and we have evaluated there have been a basic agreement, and as a government with the support of FTC, we monitor and made a survey according to the industry about the labor cost price pass-through, and we would like to provide a guideline for that. And also to the industry association, we had provided the results of the survey, and we are going to ask them to have the voluntary action. In addition to those measures, it is necessary to increase the minimum wage and also provide a same wage for the same work. And we are going, in order to secure the financial resource for the wage increase of the SMEs, it is necessary to give support for the productivity.
Yamamoto-san.
Yamamoto-san from Bunka Hoso, please. Yamamoto from Bunka Hoso. About measures against the price increase, LDP talked about 30,000 yen for low-income household and 50,000 yen for the families with children. And you will come up with the price measures, and this benefit is going to be incorporated into that package. And price increase, how long will this price increase continue? And then this time, the measures against price increase, for how long are you considering the period? And also, you have removed your mask, and this is only 5th day since you removed mask. The living without mask for 5 days, and what's your impression? First of all, about the measures against the price hike. Energy, food price, and in order to mitigate the impact of the price increase, the proposal from the ruling parties on 15th, based upon that, will be taking additional measures. The low-income household and support the low-income household. With regard to the support, the proposal has been made, so we would like to consider providing such support. In addition, other than that, with regards to the energy, the the strict and thorough assessment of the proposal or application for raising price of electricity and take measures for containing electricity price. We'll come up with the result at the end of March. And food, including the imported wheat and feed, will be taking necessary measures. So additional measures will be compiled and will be implementing quickly so that we would like to protect people's lives and business activities. With your question, removing the masks and what my impression was. I myself, by not wearing mask, removing the mask, I do not feel that it's stuffy or difficulty of breathing, but mask, it is up to the judgment of individuals. We'll leave it up to individuals, and the government is not going to force anything at all. And each person has different positions and may have the clinical conditions as well. So in each scene, appropriately make a judgment as to whether to wear or not to wear mask. The government, for the people in the elderly care facilities, if you go to elderly care facilities or if you have contact with the people who have a high risk of aggravation, we recommend wearing masks. These examples are shown by the government. As much as possible, we would like to avoid causing confusions, and about the appropriate judgment will be made by individuals. We will be preparing these examples as well. That's also important, I believe. Thank you.
So we would like to invite 2 questions. So Kawai-san from Nishi Nippon, please. So from Nishi Nippon, Kawai. So on 23rd of April, there are another election going on for the lower and upper house. So this will be the first national election. So what kind of target do you have? And do you think that evaluation to the Kishida administration will give an impact to the voting action? So this will be in addition to the regional election. So this is another election ongoing for the 5 seats within the lower and upper house. And it is an important election that is going to give an impact to the national politics. And therefore, talking about the target, well, because this is an important election, therefore we need to secure the seats for the LDP, and also we are going to put our best efforts in order to expand furthermore. So, talking about this election, so OBQ is talking about the procedures until this election, and also this is an election that is going to ask the actual situation of the local communities. However, the national issues and the measures will be viewed comprehensively, and therefore the voters are going to vote accordingly.
Nakagawa-san from Yomiuri Shimbun, please. Nakagawa from Yomiuri Shimbun. Tomorrow, 18th, you will have Chancellor Scholz will come to Japan. Tomorrow, you will have summit meeting with Chancellor Scholz. As President, Chair of G7 this year, you have been visiting Europe and North America, France, Italy, UK, Canada, U.S., you met with the leaders of these countries. With your summit meeting with Chancellor Scholz, you will have completed all the summit meetings with the members of G7. Hiroshima summit will be held from 19th of May, 18th of March, then 2 more months to go. Preparation is progressing, I'm sure. In Hiroshima summit, what kind of agenda are you going to set, and what message would you like to send? Reason as well. Also, the countries that you'll be visiting and the schedule in Hiroshima, if anything is decided, please let us know. First of all, G7 Hiroshima summit. Any attempt to change the status quo unilaterally by force, or the intimidation by nuclear weapon as Russia is doing, and the use of nuclear weapon. These should not happen. We should be rejecting these, and we will be protecting the international order based upon the rule of law. Such intention and will of G7 is to be shown strongly to the world. At the same time, world economy, including energy, food security, and global issues such as climate change, health, and development. These G7's response will be led by me, and through positive contribution and cooperation to these challenges, we would like to strengthen involvement, engagement with Global South. Hiroshima summit will be the G7 summit held in Asia. So for the G7's collaboration and partnership with regards to Indo-Pacific, we'd like to confirm clearly. In addition, including the leaders of G7, it is necessary to convey to the international community the actual situation of the damage from nuclear weapons, and this is important as a starting point of the nuclear disarmament. So visit of Peace Memorial Museum and other schedules are being examined. The countries to be visited or the detailed schedule have not been decided yet. We are continuing to examine the schedule and the countries to be invited. Thank you. With this, we would like to bring the press conference to an end. I thank you very much for your kind cooperation.